Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, with our monthly panel, the Honorable Joe Oliver, the Honorable Gary Marr, Sandra Pupatello. We're back talking about the current situation with the United States, of course. Gary Marr, Sandra uh, sort of led her remarks with, what to do next, with retaliatory tariffs. And there is a debate in Canada, and I would say, I don't want to mischaracterize, but Premier Danielle Smith of Alberta has been a little bit cautious about what sort of retaliation we should do. I would say the bulk of Canadians want to do something to at least stand up to the bully that is President Trump in their perception. Where do you stand on retaliatory tariffs?
Well, the challenge with retaliatory tariffs is that the United States has not only more sticks, but they've got bigger sticks. And in a tit for tat battle, it's not good for the United States. It's not good for Canada. But in a war of attrition, the United States will win. So the idea of speaking to people who care about getting reelected in, the 1/3 of senators that'll go to an election in 2026, or members of Congress that get elected every 2 years, including 2026, and meeting with governors who need to get elected at various election cycles, and saying to them, look, the lumber that you want to put tariffs on, if you're going to build houses to replace those taken in the fires in Los Angeles and California, you're going to need lumber. And the president is not correct when he says that there are enormous forest resources in the United States to occupy that. That is simply not correct. If you think about the issue of oil, 1 out of every 5 barrels in the United States that is consumed comes from Canada. If you think about steel and aluminum, aluminum goes in fighter jets. If you were a representative from Washington State and you were, representing Boeing in your constituency or in your state, you would have significant concerns about the increase of costs. So, as I said, we've got to find our muscle memory on how to be much more transactional with the people that we do business with in the United States. Tariffs may be a tool, but it may not be the best tool in the toolbox that we have as Canadians, because America both needs and wants the things that we have.
Joe Oliver, do you concur with that assessment?
Well, yes, but look, I want to go back to what he said he wanted, because sometimes that's indicative, not always, of what he actually wants.
Right.
And what he has said is that the porous border between our two countries has resulted in a lot of criminals, a lot of terrorists, and a lot of drugs coming into his country. And while the number is maybe 1% of what comes in from Mexico, it's nevertheless a serious and legitimate issue. We have a porous border. We should fix it in our own national interest, because guns are coming from the United States into Canada, and there's going to be an onslaught of immigrants afraid of deportation who are going to want to flee to Canada. So it's in our interest to do it, and he wants us to do it, and he's right. And by the way, while the numbers of terrorists coming in, or the number of immigrants coming in is disproportionate in Mexico, we don't know how many hardened criminals and terrorists are coming in, because the Canadian route is an easier route to come in. So that's one thing, and we should do it immediately. And I know there's been a $1.3 billion plan announced, and a Sentinel czar appointed, and 24/7 surveillance. That's good, but I don't know how much of it is a promise and how much is to come. And it requires money, and money can't be authorized unless Parliament reopens, which is not going to happen until March. Promises are not enough. We've got to actually do something. The second thing they talk about, and it also requires money, is getting our military up to a minimum of 2%, and we've been around 1.5%. He's right. The Trudeau government has been remiss. We've been free riders. We've got to do something about that, not just promise, actually start doing it. And the third thing, which is politically difficult, is supply management. I've been arguing against that forever because it's clearly in the interests of Canadian consumers to get rid of that cartel. So we have to do something about those things in a concrete, definitive way, no promises. In terms of the trade deficit, well, there was for the last 3 quarters, it was
Right.
45 billion, but it's really a surplus of 45 billion if you take out the
Sure.
oil that we're selling to them at a discount price. So that's the short term, and then
Okay,
if I have
we'll leave it at that.
on the
Sorry,
intermediate.
we're out of time for this segment, Joe, but we'll get back to you, I'm sure. We'll be back after these messages.